we ended up going to this John Smith Subs, and I was amazed at how good the food was. And I signed up for their sub club. And one of the things that happens when you do that is you get emails, like anyone else you sign up with. And it turns out last December, one of the emails I was about to delete when I noticed that the subject line was looking for franchise owners in Southern Alabama. Once you get out of Florida, it's not a well-known name. And so I might as well have started a Mike's Subs, because getting the community to become aware of who we are and what we're all about, that was the challenge.
How do you know who you can trust? Because quality means so much to you, and freshness of the food means so much to you. How do you know? How do you pick? Like, Mike, how do you know? Mike, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Morgan. I appreciate it.
For our listeners, Mike is a franchise owner of John Smith Subs, and he's located at OWA in Foley, Alabama, in Baldwin County. Mike, we'll get into what you do and how you got there and how you run your business, and we'll be able to talk about that eventually. But I really want to get into like who you are. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in Baldwin County.
Sure. It's a long story. I'm a little old. I was born in 1970 in Detroit, Michigan. Okay. Born and raised there. Went to Detroit suburb, Lincoln Park, for high school. I tell everybody that I was born and raised in Detroit, but I grew up in the Navy. When I was 17, I joined the Navy. Went to boot camp in Orlando, Florida. My specialty in the Navy was I was an electrician's mate that worked on nuclear power plants on board aircraft carriers. So it's a very specialized training program. It takes about 2 years to get through. And then while I was in for about 11 and a half years. Saw about 18, I think, last time I checked, different countries. Deployed twice for Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was on the USS Eisenhower, which is a carrier. I was on the USS Holland, which is a sub-repair ship. Then I did about 2 years in SEMA San Diego, which is a shore command. I worked on, I was a quality assurance leader for that command. And then my last command, I was on USS John C. Stennis. When I got out, I didn't really want to have much to do with what I was doing in the Navy, because it was so much legal controls to it. Like every time, and I'm not even exaggerating, almost every time you tightened a screw, you had to initial a work package for it. It was that kind of record keeping, because we were working on nuclear power plants that were floating around the world.
Yeah, need a lot of accountability for that.
Exactly. So when I went to school, I went to University of Michigan, and I went into, believe it or not, I wanted to get into genetic engineering. So I was taking physics and biochemistry.
A lot of ambition there.
Yes. While I was at school, after my first year, my wife of 12 years and I decided to separate and then get a divorce. Turns out that for the 12 years I was in the Navy, we didn't really have time to get to know each other. I would be gone for long periods of time, 6-8 months at a time, get home for a year, and by the time we started to figure out, what our quirks were that we didn't like about each other, I was gone again. So after getting out of the Navy, we were living at my parents' house in Southgate, Michigan, and we just kind of figured out that we didn't grow together while we were together. We kind of grew apart, and we had very different goals, different ideas around our faiths, different ideas around how to raise children. So
all of the most important things.
All the most important things, yes.
Okay.
Nothing trivial. All the major things that bring people together.
I'm adding it up.
Yeah. So we did part amicably, and what that did, though, to my college career, basically, if I wanted to provide child support for my kids, I had to get a full-time job. And so that really made it impossible to do the kind of lab work that was required to continue in physics and biochem. So I switched over to philosophy as a pre-law kind of a plan. I wanted to get into intellectual property from the standpoint of research into genetics. So it was a burgeoning field. People were coming. We were engineering new proteins, engineering new methods of
Well, you sure don't do anything in halves. Good gracious. Like jump from one big thing to another big thing.
Right. And that was going well. I did really good in my philosophy degree. And while I was in school and looking for a full-time job, my Navy career came back to be a focus on my resume. That was the extent of my experience. And so I got hired into manufacturing as a maintenance leader. I started off as a maintenance supervisor over an industrial maintenance team, working for Lear Corporation. We made the seats for Dodge Ram trucks. I only did that for about 8 months because while I was doing that, we were actually launching a new seating line, and I became, I just jumped right into that, like you said. And the folks from Chrysler who we were building the seats for liked what they saw in how we were executing things. And after the launch of the line was successful, they came to me with an invitation to apply for a job with Mack Avenue Engine Plant, which is a Chrysler facility. So I took them up on that, made the application. They made me a salary offer that I really couldn't refuse, and so I swapped from Lear over to Chrysler, worked there for about 4 years, and then the housing bubble burst in 2008. And they basically, my leadership team at Chrysler came to us and said, all the salaried staff said, look, we don't know if you're going to have a job in January. We're going to offer buyouts. I was pretty much the lowest salary member on the totem pole because in Detroit, once you get into the automotive industry, you don't leave. That was like the dream job. So I took the buyout and found another position as a little bit higher level as a maintenance foreman, working for Bridgestone Tire Company in Des Moines, Iowa. It seems like, a shift, making seats, making engines, making tires. But really, in my field, being in maintenance, all the machines do the same thing. They either go up and down, round and round, back and forth, or side to side. And there's programs that control that. And as long as you know how that works, you can work any machine or work on any machine. So I got picked up at Bridgestone. I was there for about 10 years in Des Moines. My wife and I were looking at what to do with retirement. I was in my mid-late 40s, and we started looking at getting a property that we were then going to build a house on over the course of time and then have a place to retire. And started doing the research, found the best places to be was down south. Alabama was a primary candidate. We also looked at Mississippi and Georgia. And after I did some job applications, I got picked up in Florence, Alabama, working for a tile company named Tarkett, which was a French company that they had taken over the North Alabama Tile Company. And they were looking for a maintenance manager. So I took that job, moved the whole family down to Alabama, and started working there. It was about 2 years in, and then COVID hit. And they downsized significantly, contracted out a lot of the higher paying salary jobs at the plant. And mine was one of them. And so then I was out of work for a couple months, and I got picked up by J.M. Smucker in Decatur, Alabama, making pet food. Right. So as I said, if you know how to work on machines, it really doesn't matter what you're making.
Wow.
What they're producing.
All over the place.
All over the spectrum. And what's funny is a lot of the machines that they used at the pet foods plant, I used at the rubber making plant. Turns out.
Well, that's disgusting.
Not the same machine, but very, very similar. So worked there. That was short-lived. It was only about 2 years. The plant was having, let's just say they were having a lot of financial difficulties. Okay. And so there was a change in leadership. In one day, they removed myself, the quality manager, the engineering manager, the safety manager, and the plant manager for the purpose of just changing out the entire leadership profile and going in a new direction. Right after that, I got a job at Polaris, manufacturing the Rangers, the side-by-side Rangers, two-seater and the four-seater, and the Slingshots. The only place that Slingshots are made is in Huntsville, Alabama. Oh. So one of our lines was Slingshots, and then 4 lines were making Rangers. So I worked there for right around 2 years and a little over 2 years, and then this opportunity arose. What had happened, a John Smith Subs opened in Madison, Alabama, which was about 15 minutes from where I worked. And we would go out, in my role as the maintenance leader for the plant, I would get a lot of vendor visits. And so vendors would want to go to lunch, have a business meeting, that kind of thing. And we ended up going to this John Smith Subs, and I was amazed at how good the food was. The steak sandwich was incredible that I had, and I went back several times. And I signed up for their sub club. And one of the things that happens when you do that is you get emails, like anyone else you sign up with. And so I would delete all the emails unless the title line was, "You've earned a free sub," right?
I do the same thing. I'm not reading anything unless there's something in it for me.
Yes. And it turns out last December, so almost a year ago, one of the emails I was about to delete when I noticed that the subject line was looking for franchise owners in Southern Alabama. Click here if you're interested. So I clicked there because it seemed like a very good reinvestment of my retirement fund, because my 401k had been flat for years. I mean, up and down, but essentially no real growth other than what I put into it. My wife and I were still looking at finding a way to retire before we were 70. And it seemed like this was a good revenue stream to accelerate that path. So talked to the CEO of John Smith Subs. He told me about the spot that they had found in Owa that they had been looking at for a couple of years. And it sounded good. My wife and I came down here to check it out, check out the site on a weekend in February. I think it was right before Valentine's. And saw that there was traffic on the weekend, saw that there was, what the location was. It was right at the entrance to the park. And, we thought, hey, this is going to be good, So we got that process going. I talked to Polaris because what I wanted to do was take a leave of absence to get the business stood up and then go back to work and let the team run the business. Polaris was of a different opinion. So I left Polaris and full-time came down here and have been working at starting this John Smith, or getting this John Smith Subs self-sufficient ever since. And it's been a blast.
Yeah.
I used to have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning every morning. Now I wake up around 6:30 in the morning every morning.
You really can't go wrong with Owa and Baldwin County because there's so much traffic, so much tourism.
Yes.
I mean, it'd be hard to fail out here.
Yes.
So it's a really great location. And so I foresee a lot of success. And you, in your professional past, you've been thrown around quite a lot. So I'm sure at some point, it was a blessing in disguise for Polaris, you guys to go your separate ways, because it sounds like it's about time for you work for you.
Yes.
100%. When did you meet your wife?
So my first wife and I got divorced in 2001, and I met my wife that I have today in 2003. And then we got married June 2005.
How did you meet her?
We met online.
Okay.
So there was
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it was, it was kind of a new thing way back then. I mean, there was, stuff. There was Match.com and I forget what the
Christian Mingle.
Yes, Christian Mingle was out, and we met on GreatBoyfriends.com. And the reason so I don't know if you remember, but way back when, there was a feature on it on like Oprah Show and a couple other like news outlets. That the unique thing about it was, as a man, you could not put up your own profile. You had to be put up by a female.
Oh, genius.
Right. So then you got
you have to be endorsed by a woman?
Yes.
Oh,
you could not put up your own stuff.
Every dating site should have that. No man should be on there without a woman's endorsement.
Yes, exactly.
Amen,
so that was well, so my ex, if you put up a man's profile and filled it all out and everything, you got a couple free months to look at the site and contact people. So my ex got a hold of me and said, hey, are you cool if I put you up? And I was
that is so healthy.
Yes. Like I said, we parted amicably. We just realized we weren't very compatible.
Wow. Love that for you.
So, not even, I guess, 2 weeks after she put me up, I got an email from my next wife, and we emailed for a few weeks. Then we had a phone call, a few phone calls, and then we decided to meet. And we each brought a friend, and met for supper, and then just never stopped after that.
That is so wild. Well, I guess when you were looking at the different locations, and I know that some of it was not in your control, but I know that, you had to choose Baldwin County. What about Baldwin County stood out to you when you were looking into moving here? Like, what did you love about it?
So the location, number one. I
Well,
mean,
of course.
we're 15 minutes from toes in the sand. I mean, you can't get better than that, being right at the beach. Number two, the growth is, I had no idea how fast the county and the city of Foley was growing, not just in comparison to Alabama, but in comparison to the nation as a whole. And the numbers are out there. I didn't do the level of depth and diligence that I would have if I was, if I was working as a maintenance boss trying to find a new vendor, because we were going very, very fast. Basically, we signed our franchise agreement in February, and then we signed our lease agreement in late March, early April, and bought a house down here at the same point in time, and then we were open May 22nd.
Wow.
We were starting to train the first week of May, so we were in it. We were ready to go.
How has it been for you guys integrating into the community here? We just recently moved down here ourselves, so we haven't been here June or July, so we weren't too far behind you.
Yeah.
But I have found that the community here has been very welcoming and
Yes.
very open to new business, and I have had great success making, a little community and a village for myself. How has it been for you and your wife?
It has been amazing. So we joined both chambers, South Baldwin County and Coastal, and that's been a huge networking opportunity and a way to really meet and engage with people. I had no idea what the small business community was like. I've never been an entrepreneur. I've never been a restaurateur. The only experience I had in a restaurant was I worked in my dad's cousin's Mexican restaurant when I was a teenager. So this was all new. But the help that is out there from the small business community is more than I could have imagined. Like the shirt that I'm wearing today, Stacy Lieferman from Pretty Works, I got a hold of her through the South Baldwin County Chamber, and she's just been a huge help, not just in selling me shirts, but in guiding me through a lot of the business. Lillian from Baldwin County Resources has been huge in making connections for me. She was there at my ribbon cutting ceremony. I wasn't even a part of anything at that point in time. She introduced herself, said she was available to help, and has been nonstop ever since. I mean, and that's just two of so many. Danielle over at Waffles Are Wild. She was that was the first restaurant down here that my wife and I had eaten at when we came to check out the site. And we let her know what we were thinking about doing, and she was full of insight into what OWA was like, how the seasonality went, what kind of things we could expect from the landlords themselves, from the chambers. I mean, everyone has just been very welcoming. Yeah. It's funny, there was so when we first got down here, there's always going to be critics online, right? So when we first got down here, we were starting the business. It was maybe our second week. It might have been the first week of June or so. And, we were trying to, post on Facebook that what we were doing and that kind of thing. And there was someone that had come up and taken a picture of the back of my vehicle that was parked in front of John Smith Subs. And it had the Lauderdale County plates on it. And they said, these guys aren't local. They're not from here. They're moving in to take business away. And the storm of replies that shut that person's comment down was phenomenal. And they were all people that had come to the shop and eaten the sandwich and met me. I try to meet everybody that walks in the front doors. If I'm there, I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to talk to you, because for me, it's not about revenue is, of course, necessary to stay open, right, and stay functional. But I love the experience. I love being a member of a community that is focused on the community. I love the small town feel. I love the neighborly kind of attitude that's everywhere, and it's prevalent. I always joke around when I first moved to Alabama. The first two questions I was always asked when I first got here was, where do you go to church, and Alabama or Auburn, right? Which I have learned to say Roll Tide, so I'm good. Go Blue is my number one, but I can say Roll Tide. But it's down here. It's such a diverse population. Like you said, you've just moved down here. I've met several people through many of the business networking groups that have that are transplants as well. And then of course you meet a lot of local folks that have been down here their whole lives. And the way the diversity meshes and just becomes its own sense of community has just been amazing. It's a godsend. I feel so blessed to be down here.
Baldwin County is very special. I will tell you from experience that it is very different from the rest of Alabama. So when your friends are like, why did you move down there? And you tell them that you love it, don't let them think that they can move somewhere else in Alabama and get the same experience, because it's not going to happen. My husband and I are from Alabama originally, like more of the Montgomery area. I'm from Wetumpka, and we moved away after we got married, and we just moved back here from up north, a couple months ago. And Baldwin County has been so good to us so far, and it's so different. I mean, Southern hospitality exists all over the South, but Baldwin County has been so accepting and so community driven. So I think that you couldn't have picked a more perfect place to come, because you are always going to get that support and just wonderful people here that I wouldn't say that you're going to get, everywhere. I mean, Alabama's just like any other state. You got your good places and your bad places. Right. But when I told my friends up north that I was moving down here to Baldwin County, they're like, why would you want to live in Alabama? Why? And why do you want to live in the most expensive county in the state? I'm like, well, one, that's where my family is. And two, that's where the money is. If it's the most expensive place in the state, well, then why wouldn't I want to move my business there? Because if it's more expensive, then the people must have money, right? I want their money. Yes. Yes. I think it's a genius move on your part. I did want to ask, kind of about John Smith Subs, because I know a lot of people are not familiar with it. Until I met you, I wasn't familiar with it at all. What makes you different from like a Subway or a Firehouse?
So the pride of owning a John Smith Subs franchise, for me, is that everything that we serve is as clean and healthy as it can possibly be. We don't get pre-sliced lunch meats that are pre-packaged and they come in and you put them in steaming water or you just throw them in a sandwich container. Everything that we get is whole, like our turkey breast. That's we get a whole turkey breast in and we slice it fresh in the shop. Our steak sandwiches, we get a full sirloin tip roast and we shave it thin in the shop. We trim all the fat and gristle off. We shave it thin. We marinate it in the shop. Chicken, same thing. We get full chicken breasts and we cut them up in the shop, trim them, and marinate. I mean, the vegetables, we get fresh vegetables. There's no pre-sliced onions. There's no pre-shredded lettuce. There's no processing. It's just, it comes off the farm as a whole green pepper, a whole tomato, a whole head of lettuce. We get it and we slice it fresh in the shop. So I've been a huge advocate of eating healthy and avoiding processed foods since about, I could tell you exactly, 2016, I had some health issues related to being obese. And I went through some medical coaching and I was on a medical program to lose weight. And the biggest eye-opener was the food that we eat typically, that we accept, that's regularly consumed by the population, is not food. Yeah. It's not good for you.
It's plastic.
Yes,
that tastes like food.
You're poisoning yourself. Yeah. Anything, I don't even go in the middle of the grocery store anymore. If it's in a box or a can, I'm not looking at it. Everything's from produce or from fresh meat. And same thing with John Smith Subs. That's what that's what sold me on being such an advocate, is that everything that we use is as fresh as you can get. Now, of course, we get pepperoni and capicola and salami, and those are by nature, they're sausages and they're processed. But the processing is very minimal. We buy them from highly reputable sources that have been doing those type of meats for decades. So it's that's what I'm most proud about it, that I can sell people something that's actually going to be good to eat.
That's really refreshing to hear, because it is hard, I think, anywhere you live, but especially in a small town, it's really hard to find food that you can pick up for your family that is healthy. I mean, I know that we struggle with that a lot. Myself, personally, I will sit down and like down a bag of hot Cheetos, and I don't care about the process or how bad it is for you, or the red dye 40, but I would never let my kids anywhere near it. Like, I'm very strict about processed foods and stuff for them. And so when, we're busy, I'm a business owner, and my husband's a business owner, and we're busy people, and we have 2 toddlers. And so oftentimes we have to eat out more than we want to, or we have to pick food up on the way home. Yeah. And it's like, man, there's just not enough options. Everything's so processed. Everything's fried in seed oils. It's like, what do I do? What can I give them? And so it's so refreshing to hear that you are in this community and you care about quality and the freshness and what we're feeding our families. And I think that's really important. And I'm so glad to hear you say that, because it has been a real struggle for us since we've been down here. Like, where we were living, there was so many options. Yeah. And here, there's just, great food, great family-owned restaurants, but it's like, if I have to go get something quick to take home to my family, it's like, I'm not feeding them McDonald's, I'm not feeding them Crystals, because, right, I'll eat it, but I don't want to give it to them. So I'm really glad to hear you say all of that. Have you, I know you've only been open a short time, but have you faced any kind of struggles, any hurdles that you've had to overcome?
Nothing related to the, like getting set up as a restaurant or anything. I thought that it was going to be a real challenge to get through the inspection, the fire inspections, the health inspections, the licensing, the business, permitting and all that stuff. And that has been very, very streamlined, and not difficult at all to meet those requirements. The difficulty comes in getting the revenue. That's, being someone new. John Smith Subs is a franchise, but it's not a well-known franchise. We're the second location in Alabama. Yeah. If you're coming from South Central Florida, you've probably heard of us. They started off in West Palm Beach. We've got well over 24 locations in lower Florida and in the Panhandle, like Destin, Pensacola, Miramar Beach. But once you get out of Florida, it's not a well-known name. And so I might as well have started a Mike's Subs, because I have to, getting the community to become aware of who we are and what we're all about. That was the challenge.
And the differences between you and like a Mike's.
Yes. Why it's better to come to John Smith Subs and go into a Jersey Mike's or a Firehouse or a Subway or a Jimmy John's, which are all here and all within very easy, radius of access compared to John Smith Subs. And we're kind of harder to get to. You got to decide to go to OWA.
Yeah, you got to go in there.
Beaten path. Yeah. Exactly. But other than that, just getting the awareness up and getting and this is something that is probably a very large point of pride for me, is once somebody comes in and meets the team and has the food, they come back. We haven't lost. We might have lost like 1 or 2 customers that had a poor experience, from what I can tell from the online comments. But in most cases, I'm seeing the same faces. Once they come in, they want it again. And I'm working on pricing, because we're not cheap. A 6-inch sub is right around $10. You're not going to come in and get a $5 combo. But at the same time, you're not going to come in and get junk processed on your plate. Yeah. Yes, exactly. You're getting the best that I can find. So, working on that, because there's something that I was completely unaware of when I started this business, was the user fees and different taxes associated the locations, city, county, state, it all adds up. And that's, that's some of the overhead that you don't even think about. If you're just a consumer, you walk in and you think the cost of the employee's labor, the cost of the food that's being served, and then everything else is profit. And that is far from the truth,
So are there consistent vendors throughout the franchise? So if I'm going in South Florida to one and then I'm coming here, are you in charge of kind of finding your own vendors with your own quality standards, or do they have a vendor that distributes to every single one?
So there are preferred vendors. Mm-hmm. So we've got company-wide, we've got a good pricing agreement with Cisco as a food provider, and they've got the quality of food that we're looking for. There was I wasn't involved in this part, but years ago there was a very extensive process of figuring. Once they started franchising out of Florida, they were getting everything local. Now they had to find a national distributor that could bring them their stuff, and there was a lot of time spent in finding the right material, the right food from whichever vendor had it, and then negotiating a pricing deal with them. But that being said, I'm free to sign up with, like U.S. Foods, County Produce, Premier Foods, anybody that is able to provide what I'm looking for if, like, Cisco doesn't have it or can't get it to me in time. There's been plenty of times I've run up to Sam's Club in Daphne, and gone through their produce and gone through their fresh meats. I've run over to Walmart to get sodas, if I run out of on a busy weekend. So there's no, thankfully there's no agreement or lock in place that prevents that. We can be resourceful. Good.
Okay, so when you are having to shop for people to work with for your food, and when you're having to find other vendors or Cisco isn't available to provide that for you, how do you know who you can trust? Because quality means so much to you, and freshness of the food means so much to you. How do you know? How do you pick? Like, how do you know I'm going to order food from you versus somebody else? Because everybody says, I've got the best, I've got the freshest, I've got the least processed. Like, how do you, Mike, how do you know this is the guy I'm going with?
That's an excellent question. And my history, my professional history doesn't lend itself to being a judge of food, right? But I have spent over 20 years interviewing different vendors for other products that I would use, that the safety of my team would rely on. If I get the wrong guy to provide the wrong harness, all of a sudden somebody's getting hurt. So what I've come to decide in my own sphere over time has been, I need to be able to meet the person that is the representative of whomever I'm dealing with and be able to trust that person. And so, like, I've signed up with U.S. Foods because I met the rep and talked with him, and we sat down and went through kind of not an interview, but just a conversation like this, and figured out where he came from and what he was all about and what he was doing, what was important to him. And I put that level of concern and identity onto the corporation that's backing him. And it's worked for me for a very long time. When I was in manufacturing, there was a vendor that I used in Iowa from a company called DXP. Her name was Kendra. And she was amazing. She was trustworthy. She would show me, where she was saving us money and how she was providing us, quality product and stuff like that. And I tried to transfer that same relationship when I came down to Alabama, and DXP wasn't the same down here. It's in my experience, it's all about who you're dealing with directly, because that's the person you can go to when promises aren't kept. And so that's how I've gone about finding my way in this realm, is meeting the representatives and seeing who do I trust and who comes across as shady.
Well, I have heard nothing but good things. I know that you offer catering, correct? And you did a catering event for, I think it was someone at Printing Pros, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, told me that they were so in love and so impressed by the food.
I'm so happy to hear
Yeah.
that is the greatest thing about this is being able to hear that kind of positive
Yeah.
feedback that we did something that somebody enjoyed.
That's another good thing about being part of a small community is that you get to hear firsthand, kind of how somebody feels about something or a new business coming in, because I'm not in OWA frequently. I don't go in there.
Right.
I've got toddlers. I don't have any reason to be walking around in there. And so had I not met you or had they not, I'm trying to search for the girl's name, but had she not mentioned, they did catering for us and they did such a good job.
Caitlin from Printer Pros. Yes.
I would not have ever thought to go in and try it just because I would have assumed that this is just like a Subway. And I don't like Subway. I think it's gross. I think all the food tastes like rubber, and
Yes.
I don't like how, I don't like it. And so I would have never thought to go in had I not heard that. So being part of a small community and doing stuff like this where people can kind of just hear like what matters to you and why they can trust you, I think that is so important. So I hope you have all of the success in the world, and I'll definitely, hit you up for some catering because we have a couple events coming up.
That's awesome. I would love to.
Yeah. And I appreciate your time so much, Mike, for being here with us. And that's going to conclude this episode of Morgan Means Business. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.